Hello.
Howdy!
We're Lemon Knife.
As I hope you know already,
Yes, John
Mia.
and John. And what we're going to be doing today is the best songs late in the careers of artists. I suppose not necessarily late in the careers,
But pretty late.
but yeah, it had to be 20 or more years after their first thing.
Yes. And so I counted that from their first album, or the
Yeah.
first album, with a big band.
Yeah, and we're loose
Or
on that.
first
And if
single
it's
or
like
whatever,
an
yeah.
individual person who's the main songwriter, then we're focused on like them.
Yep.
Even if they went to a different project. But anyway, they waited 20 years to get to it, so we'll get right into it. Some of mine are artists that changed their thing a lot. This one is not.
Mm-hmm.
This is Fuck You by Bad Religion.
Good choice.
About 25 years into their career, and this is just a perfect song of what they do best, which is just kind of like,
Straight,
it's aggressive
Straight
punk,
snarky
but it
punk.
still has like,
intelligent lyrics.
intelligent lyrics and instrumental variety and kind of some good, the like, kind of like harmony.
The
type
vocals have
things.
held up well
Yeah,
over the
vocals,
years.
you couldn't even tell that their vocals had aged at all on that.
He's a great singer.
And that you can tell this is one, like, usually when a band is around, they play the songs off their new album and then they play the old ones. Like, this is one that they're still playing, I think, a couple album releases later, just as a regular part of their set, and the fans like it as much as they like the old ones, which is a testament to its quality.
I want to say when we saw them together, that was their opener, maybe.
I think so, yeah.
It was a great one. I wouldn't have been able to tell it was relatively late in their career, for
Yeah.
sure. And that's a compliment.
All right, what's your number 10?
So I actually have a couple honorable mentions for songs at the 19-year mark. And also, they probably wouldn't have cracked the list quite, but I wanted to mention a couple anyway, because these bands have not ultimately been around quite as long as others, but I wanted to give a shout out to these songs.
Mhm.
That's Colossus of Rhodes by the New Pornographers and Pressure by Muse.
No, throw it away, because it's illegitimate.
Yeah. I thought I would give it a shout out, though. Those are two great songs from relatively late in an artist's career. But my number 10, actually, is much later than 20 years. This was like something like 30, maybe even 40 years. This is a song, you shouldn't see the back of these. This is a song called Frail Grasp on the Big Picture by the Eagles. And I first heard this in my old keyboardist's car. Not my keyboardist, but the band I
Your
used to
pet
be in.
keyboardist?
My pet keyboardist. Yep, he was my pet keyboardist. Yeah, Kyla,
You
you're a
just keep
poodle
him
now.
locked up, feed him weed once or twice a day, and that's all you
That's
need.
all he's gonna need.
That's
yeah,
all keyboardists need, right?
That's all, especially that one. No. But he has this great stereo, and he played this song. He has like a mixtape or something. I don't know, like some mix of things. And I was like, oh, this is really good. It's like, I mean, great instrumentalism first of all. Don Henley's voice has not really aged at all either, and some of the snarkiest lyrics the Eagles have done, which is it's kind of a generic concept of like the world is bad now. But
is it one of their mellow ones, or is it one of their like guitar-y ones?
It's like somewhat funky guitar,
Mm.
funkier than usual, but like it has great
Like
lines
Life
like
in the Fast Lane?
yeah, kind of like that, but a little slower paced.
Ah.
I mean, you can hear it, but it has a great verse in a portion of the song where they're talking about like romance and how people just kind of skip from one relationship to another. And it was like,
I don't know if any rock stars from the 70s are qualified to talk about that.
No, but well, it was something along the lines of like, all your romantic liaisons don't mean eternal questions like who left the cap off the freaking toothpaste, whose turn is it to take the garbage out. So it's like, there's nothing ever long term about it or whatever. But yeah, no, I mean, you're right though. But yeah, good stuff from the Eagles.
All right, my number 9, on the other hand, is more of a departure from the style the person came up on. This is Lost Faith by Bob Mould.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
He was in Husker Du in the 80s, Sugar in the 90s, and this is a 2010 song from his solo career that's kind of this, like, ominous but dancey kind of song. Like, it's a very, very gray song, but
Yeah,
very,
it feels
like,
gray.
catchy. And his voice still sounds great. Probably even better than it did in Husker Du, because now he has good production surrounding it.
Certainly.
All right.
All right, this one is actually, I guess, is a bonus track off an album. I'm still going to count it, though, because it was better than most of their album.
Better than Ezra.
Better than Waha. This Gun Will Misfire by The Who. This was off their very latest album, which overall I was not the biggest fan of. That's just me. But This is one Townsend takes the lead on, and yeah, his voice is kind of deteriorated, but it's also kind of become more Tom Waits like, so it's kind of an interesting thing. It's a great guitar work on it. Got like little touches of the classic Who synthesizer sounds, and very just like has a great build, a lot of great drama to it. So yeah, I really like it.
All right, my number 8. Here's another of band doing what they do best. This is All Nightmare Long by Metallica.
Oh yes.
And this I would almost be in the ballpark of calling Death Magnetic their best album. It's probably behind Master of Puppets, but I'd probably even putting it at second would get my head bashed in by the Metallica fan base.
Who cares?
But this is just like fantastic song, ominous intro. It's got that like skate rock riff. I already talked about this one in our top 10 metal songs because it was my pick for best Metallica song and somewhere on that list. So yeah.
Certainly beats out things that go, "We're so fucked, hardwired to self-destruct."
It's a good rhyme. It's a good rhyme. Maybe.
Is it? Is it really? It might be better than "Suicide, I've Already Died" from that album.
Yeah, or "What Don't Kill You Make You More Strong."
Oh, that might be that's not a rhyme, but that might be the worst thing on that album. It's a great album overall. I'm not knocking it. Just some of the lyrics leave some to be desired. Anyway,
but yeah, stick around for our next video, which will be worst songs by good bands.
Yes.
We'll see if any of those show up there.
Well, anyway, we're on to number 8 on my list, which is a nice, extremely simple but pretty song by Mr. Neil Young, who you're going to be seeing too many of these. By Mr. Neil Young, who did a number called Harvest Moon.
Oh, is that not from like the 60s?
That's like the 90s, yeah. Or like, I think it might just cracked the 20-year mark, like 23 years or something like that, but it's just such a beautiful song. It's just so simple and so kind of cheesy, but just like the slide guitar on it and like the backup vocals on this harvest moon, you know, it's just a very pretty, simple, still intelligent song, you know, by...
Yeah, that's simple and pretty enough. I would have assumed it was like one of his old numbers.
No, it's,
also because his album was called Harvest.
Yeah, no, well, this album was called Harvest Moon, adding to the confusion.
He just really likes early fall.
Just loves early fall, yep.
The one that just missed my list was Crime in the City by him on the opposite side. That's one of his, like, noisy rockers with great lyrics.
Absolutely, off Freedom.
Yeah,
he wrote great rockers on that album.
Definitive one on off the Well live album.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
All right, my number 7 is You Can Call Me Al by Paul Simon.
Oh, that was pretty deep in his career.
Yeah, this is the oldest one on my list, but even in the 80s, Paul Simon is 20 years into his career. And this is just such a great, goofy pop song.
Chevy Chase in the video.
Chevy Chase in the video, that flat bass, the...
Half of it is reversed,
riff.
but
Yep.
I'll give it credit. Yeah, it's just
a very fun song.
There's nothing about it. It's I feel like the song should be impossible to hate, but I know it isn't because some people
sure
hate
a lot
it.
of people
Yes.
hate it.
It should
It's
be
incredibly
impossible
cheesy.
Who cares? Anyway, here number 7 is Supernatural Super Serious by REM.
This one also
really,
just missed my list.
Really, it was just like they had some real duds of albums in their late career, but they also had a Accelerate, right?
Because they ended strong, because Accelerate is great, and Collapse Into Now has a few amazing songs. I guess I probably would have... I should have put It Happened Today on my list.
That's a good one. And Uberlin were in contention for sure. Living Well, too, but I think, like, this one is probably the most, like, REM characteristic, but still different enough, like, later in life. I love the lyrics. I love just the way the guitar comes in at the beginning, and then the drums just, like... That intro was just so good, you know? I'm sure part of it is production, but just the way it's written, I don't know, and Michael Stipe's vocals, I don't know, obviously like that. Everybody here, you know.
I think this is even like a minor hit for them, right? Like they managed to make a small comeback on it, yeah.
So yeah, good stuff for them. And not making the list was Airport Man, and really even Imitation of Life, which is okay.
Don't use shit talk Imitation of Life, Mia.
Oh, is that?
It's
like it's okay. So there.
Yeah, right. My number 6.
It's the exact same thing.
Number 6 is Passchendaele by Iron Maiden. This is a World War I epic.
One of their many war epics.
Yes, yeah. They lost Bruce Dickinson for a while, but they brought him back in the early 2000s.
Thank God.
He'll be showing up on Mia's list at some point. But this is Dance of Death. I think this is another one where really it's late in their career, but I would call it one of their best albums. It had Montsegur, just like furious rager. The title track is nice and mysterious. Passchendaele is amazing. The opening song is just like really aggressive and AC/DC-ish.
Is that for the greater good of God as well?
No, well,
that's
on a
their
different
career,
album,
though.
but that also would be
that
eligible
almost
for the
made
list.
mine
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
A few too many for the greater good of God.
Okay, yeah, it's a little long, really.
Or sorry, for the greater good
of God. It made for a good live chorus, though.
Yeah.
Great performers. All right, number 6. I guess some people might or might not take issue with me putting this on there because this is a posthumous album for the leader of the, yep. But this is You Don't Fool Me by Queen. Really my favorite track off the album is the title track, Made in Heaven, but it was originally a Freddie Mercury song, so I didn't count it. This song is just like very danceable. The guitar solo is great. I just always envision like somebody on top of a mountain, you know, it's just all drenched with reverb. It's kind of cheesy, but you gotta love it. Just like very infectious. Great production on this album, really. And
it's a sequel to Won't Get Fooled Again also. That's a little known fact.
I highly doubt that.
Brian and Pete are skull buddies.
What is a skull buddy?
They're in the skull fraternity during the British occupation of Grenada.
Oh, well, in that case.
They got matching tattoos and everything.
That's not a fact I came across, you know? I would have figured I'd remember that.
When one of them dies, the other one will have to the next day.
Oh, crap. That's going to be a tough day for me.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough day for Mia.
Those are like two of my favorite rockers.
guitarists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, on that note.
Oh, speaking of dead people.
Oh, no.
Number 5 is For My Next Trick, I'll Need a Volunteer
nice.
by Warren Zevon.
Yep. Not My Rides Here? We're not going to go even further with that?
No. My Rides Here is also great. Yeah, his last 3 somehow he managed to fit like 3 albums into the last 3 years of his life that are all amazing albums.
Mm-hmm.
Life Will Kill Ya, My Rides Here, and The Wind.
And of course, The Wind, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of great choices off this. I went with this one that's kind of like, it's mostly just kind of like a sad love song, but told through like a magician metaphor with some really pretty piano. I think this is his last album before he was diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
But he still called it Life Will Kill Ya, ironically, because he was a nice, mordant guy.
Oh, yes. Wasn't
but
this also the album My Shit's Fucked Up was on? Long before
I think
his long before his diagnosis, but...
Yeah. Shit that used to work.
Won't work now. It's just like, and then you think about what happened later. It's like, oh, geez, this is actually really sad.
Yeah.
I mean, the song's already kind of sad, but it starts off humorously in the Zevon tradition. Anyway, my number 5 is by another, I guess, contemporary?
Yeah, definitely.
I think that, like,
I
mean,
think
they
were
collaborated
born
a few
in the
times.
same year, maybe a year or two apart.
So this is Radio Nowhere by Bruce Springsteen, which is a great, like, high-octane number that still has, you know, Springsteen's characteristically great lyrics.
That's yet another one that just missed my list.
A lot of those, huh?
Yeah.
And, you know, fun fact, one of the ones you already named might show up again.
Ooh.
I'm kind of surprised you didn't have it higher than me, actually. So, but yeah, this is a fantastic little number, just like that great distorted guitar coming in, great riff, just... I'm sure, I don't know if he ever plays it live, but if he did...
he definitely... I think he played it when I saw him in 2014 or something
Still
like
a
that.
bucket list one for me, by the way. I need to see Bruce live. So, but yeah, great stuff. Great, I don't think...
Great kind of like furious echo. I just wanna hear some rhythm.
Just you can just hear a crowd that doesn't exist yet coming in on that one. All right, John, what do we got?
All right, this is another recently deceased.
Great.
But this one is not. There are probably a number of good songs they could have picked off their recently deceased album.
Recently
the wrong
deceased.
term for it. But this is actually 20 years before that, and yet still 20 years into their career. This is Lake Marie by John Prine.
Oh, goodness, yes.
And this is just this kind of rambling, folksy tale where, like, the first first verse is about the naming of some lakes. The second verse is about, like, his trip up to Canada with his wife. And then the third verse is about a brutal murder in the woods by that lake. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
strange like series of vignettes and just like
Great build throughout.
great build, yeah, and great just like
Entrance backing off and on.
yeah, he manages to make like the third verse both kind of like homespun and creepy and
Yes.
just
He was a master of
fantastic
that
song.
bit.
Yeah.
For sure.
Now listen to our tribute to him somewhere on the YouTube channel.
Somewhere deeper down in
Yep.
the much
And
deeper
search
down in the video.
Lemon Knife John Prine will probably show up.
Oh, probably. Well,
What's your
anyway,
number 4, Mia, and
number
are
4
they
is
still
all.
alive?
I think all but one.
All right.
All Nightmare Long by Metallica. Woo!
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and the one that died long before.
Well, he wasn't on this recording.
Right,
yeah.
exactly. So everyone on the track, as far as I know, is still alive.
We've just heard that Kirk Hammett was killed by a flying
What?
turkey.
What happened to his wah pedal? Did we preserve it?
Yes, it's frozen in amber.
Well, we already talked about All Nightmare Long. John said everything I was gonna say. So, doo-doo.
All right, my number 3 is the latest into the career of any of these. This is maybe 40 or 50 years, and this song feels completely original and fresh. This is probably my favorite of the 10 songs. This is Paraguay by Iggy Pop.
Oh yes.
And actually, I think I should have swapped it with my number 1, but it'll be
Yeah.
on here.
Honorary number 1, actual number 3.
Honorary number 1, actual number 3. This is just incredible song. He gets this has Josh Homme
This
on
has
it.
Josh Homme.
Josh Homme
Yep.
on guitar
And
and
backing
then Arctic
vocals.
Monkeys drummer to kind of add some real like oomph to the production. It kind of is a song that really like builds. It starts with kind of like acoustic guitar and him rambling a little, but then it kind of builds into this big
Massive
like stompy
rant.
rock thing with Iggy just delivering this unhinged rant over
Great,
it for about
some
2
great
minutes.
insults I try to steal every
Great
so often.
insults, just incredible build and fantastic song.
The mere fact that an artist is still able to collaborate with younger musicians and all of them make it sound that fresh is such a testament to their ability to,
Yeah.
I think. Okay, number 3 just hits the 20-year mark of a much more famous career, but we're still going to call this guy very fundamental in its success. This is a song called Tall Cool One by Robert Plant, 1988. This, exactly 20 years, I think, after Zeppelin's first single. And this came from
So
a
some
CD.
of his lovers were probably getting illegal to drink around then.
That's not the right guy. So you got the wrong. Oh, well, actually, Jimmy Page did solo on this track, so. Whoa, we got dark. Anyway, so I really only recently heard the story behind it, which made me love it even more. Like, really, if you didn't have this factor in the song, it might have cracked, like, maybe number 10, but the big feature in this song is the Zeppelin samples. He samples a bunch of old Zeppelin songs, especially near the end of the song, and it just, this great build into this, like, completely rocking, like, it's already got, a great catchy chorus, lightened up, baby, I'm in love with you. It's just very, very forward rocking. And yeah, Johnny didn't like that.
I
Did you?
don't think I like this one.
You're not. Maybe you're not. Well, it's just very high energy. But this happened because he had heard the Beastie Boys sample the "When the Levee Breaks" intro, and he was like, "That's actually kind of brilliant,"
It's like, what if I sample something to remind people when I was still famous?
More along the what he said, John, was that like that drum sound is so great. Why wouldn't you just recycle it, like, and then add the Sweet Leaf riff over it and do something creative with that? And so like at the end of the song, it comes in this big crash of this massive amount of riffs and just like old things that are slowly introduced, and then you realize, wait, that's the custard pie riff, So I just think it's brilliantly done. It really is, and just, I don't know, I
I'll
love
have
it
to
to bits.
listen to it and see what I think.
And see if you disagree.
All right, my number 2 is maybe the band. This is the band where I think possibly the majority of the songs I have by them on my phone are from 20 or more years into their career, which is an impressive feat.
Definitely.
At least 20 years into the frontman's career. This is Feast in the Famine by the Foo Fighters.
Oh, yes.
And, Dave Grohl starring on Nirvana in the 90s, during the Foo Fighters in the late 90s. And honestly, their 2010s output, especially Wasting Light and Sonic Highways, are just both incredible albums. I think more consistent than any of their albums before that. Like, those all have really good songs like All My Life, The Pretender, Monkey
yeah.
Wrench, but like their 2010s album's just incredible. They had a little more lead guitar to it, a little like bigger drums, and just like write fantastic songs.
I mean, as musicians, they really haven't aged in a way, you know. They're still just so energetic.
They maybe improved with age even, or maybe they just finally were like, oh yeah, we can put like classic rock things into our
Absolutely,
songs. They add
yeah.
like solos while still keeping kind of like the energy of Foo Fighters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now they are just basically a classic rock band.
I mean, pretty much, but
nothing
I don't
wrong with
mind
that,
it. Yeah.
yeah.
We need more classic rock in the universe. Number 2, this is my Iron Maiden pick, The Wicker Man, as actually predicted by John earlier, although maybe partially because it
you
was
asked
like...
me what year Brave New World was released in.
Yes, and then he was like, that must be Wicker Man she's
Yep.
talking about. But yes, this is a great song. I mean, once again, like, Bruce Dickinson's voice really held up, like, a slight deterioration for a few reasons, you know, some of which were, you know, quite sad, but just, you know, especially later. I think this happened before, but, you know,
Yeah.
still just, you know, great sound, great performance vocally, and just great performances by everyone. Like, it's just such a classic sounding song. That chorus is just,
I think
like,
this
so...
is the first song on the album, right? So
I believe so.
This is like the We're Back, because this is the first album that Bruce is back after his leave from the band. So this is like,
Okay.
hey, you put in Brave New World, then it's like the Wicker Man. It's like, all right, Iron
It's like,
Maiden
this is
are
Iron
back.
Maiden back.
They spent
We
their
have them
decade
back.
in the wilderness.
They're back. We
back.
found them.
Yep.
Yes. And, I mean, it just feels so classic. The chorus is just like this big soaring sing-along. Your time will come. It's just brilliant stuff. And the way the woes
And then
come
it
at
ends
the
in
end.
like a
yup.
slow down to a whoa, classic audience sing-along.
Whoa, which is a bit better than the Woos and the Red and the Black, or any of the Woos and Imagine
A lot of
Dragons
woes.
songs. Yes.
Second only to the Woos and Heaven Can Wait.
Yes, that's true, isn't it?
All right, my number 1 is a crossover, but only the name of the song.
Oh, I wonder.
Harvest Moon
Yeah.
by Blue Oyster Cult. And
This one
probably
almost-
thinking back, and I'll
almost made it,
swap
yeah.
it with Paraguay. So it's actually number 3, but that's still a great ranking. And this is a song, their like late 90s album. Once again, this is one that they still bring out live, which is a sign, like it's not a hit or anything, and it's
But they've
still
got
one that they
confidence.
just easily slot it into their modern set because it is just
Feels
a
right.
really good song. It's just this like
The
spooky
atmosphere.
fall ambience to it. It kind of like slowly builds in. Like the first parts are just about like the settlers and their goats and things in winter, and then like there's kind of a speedy guitar bridge and just this like slow sense of something being wrong, and like the farm town builds until like the last chorus they start talking about people mysteriously disappearing. But like there until
As
that
Blue
point
Oyster
there haven't
Cult
been
does.
any like supernatural things. Like it's just kind of like subtly there. It's like
Blink
one
and
of the
you'll
few
miss it,
songs you
yeah.
could call like rocking and subtle. It's just a fantastic song and the perfect song for fall. So if you're watching this in November, actually we might not even be posting it till December, but go listen to it.
It'll still be December, probably by the time
Yep.
it'll be fall, technically, by the time we...
Yeah, go listen to it next fall or this fall.
And don't disappear.
No. But if you do it mysteriously, so at least there's something to talk about.
Well, I wonder if my number 1 pick ends with a harvest moon at the end of the day.
Something about summer?
I don't know, it's something about a day. I just like, I don't know, it turns into nighttime
Can't be
and then
It
there's
Happened Today.
It's Beautiful
I don't
Day
know.
by you too.
Oh, yes.
Okay, this is the song that probably most resembles but is still fresh from the band in their early years. I love everything about this song. The piano, the way the guitar comes in, like very classic U2 ingredients, Bono's vocals of course, very classic U2 ingredients that still make sense in the thousands, right? Because I mean, this is pretty deep into their career by now, or like, you know, their first album was sometime in the 70s, this was early thousands, so like, you know, they still kept it that intact. And I know it's kind of become fashionable to slag off U2, but I mean, I don't know, they're great musicians.
Yeah,
You
I
can't
almost
deny
put
that, yeah.
Elevation on my list. That was another
That's a great
almost
one
made
too. Yeah. But just like the build and the chorus and the bridge just might even be the most sing-along thing in the song. Just like, and the way it ends, it's just a perfect song. It really, really is. And it's probably just one of my favorite U2 songs, period, despite it being
Yeah.
like past their prime, for sure.
They've released a lot more great stuff in the past 20 years, so they're,
Honorable
maybe
mention to
they're
Raised
still
by
at their
Wolves,
prime.
actually. Raised by Wolves almost made it somewhere,
Oh, yeah,
but
Raised
like
by
it was
Wolves
like,
is
all right,
great.
beautiful day, that's
Joy
a thing.
Ramone is great. The Get Out of Your Own Way is great.
They
Vertigo.
still know how to write a song. I mean, they
Yeah.
just do, and not every band does this late into their career, so. Anyway, this was 25 minutes, which is many years as some of these were into the. Good night, everyone.
Hang on. We'll end with a pun I saw from Mark Rosewater. What does a werewolf say on their YouTube channel, Mia?
Like and subscribe.